What is up, guys, and welcome to The Nexus. We are here with season 2 of our podcast, let's say. We are the scanning officers, and we are here today to talk about UKTC's London GT event that was just on this past weekend. It's been a little while since we've done a podcast, and we've done quite a lot of great content since we did that. But yeah, we're now back and we're going to be doing our regular podcast segment. So yeah, hopefully you'll all enjoy and it's good to have you. But first, we'll go around and see how everyone's doing after this weekend's great event, and start off traditionally with Emmy. How you doing, bud?
Very good, very good. You sound very formal today. I like the approach. Very, very, very formal. I think you're still in tournament shape. You did such a great job at like organizing everything.
I've been working all week, so I am just in
Yeah.
there. I'm in autopilot.
You're still in there. No, I'm very good. Had a blast this past weekend. The tournament was amazing. Had the chance to meet like lots of players, known players and new ones. So yeah, it's been really good. Also to share the casting with Ollie and Krish. Krish, how you doing?
Oh, I'm awful. Had the worst weekend of my life. Terrible, terrible partners. And got no, no, no. Really, really fantastic weekend. Had a fantastic time casting with Emmy, and I'm really sad I wasn't able to make it on Sunday to play. I mean, obviously, thankfully, I didn't do as badly as Ollie did, so maybe that's a blessing in disguise.
Sunday was like
you
the
would have
best.
done worse.
Sunday,
You would have done worse.
Sunday was like the best day of the weekend, right?
100%. But yeah,
Sunday was the best day of the
Scared
weekend.
to
It was
show up and you
fantastic.
still chat shit.
I really enjoyed watching Ollie cast. You know, it was a really, really good time to watch. Emmy, of course, you know, a gentleman as usual. Really, really great weekend. I'm doing good. And bro, this month is gonna kill me. This month is actually gonna kill me.
Oh yeah, it's the start of something epic. What about you, Ollie? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Had a great time this weekend as well. Had a really fun time playing on the Saturday. Some unfortunate losses, but
Quite a
it
lot
really
of losses by the time.
more wins than you at least.
More
That's
than
true.
0, bro. It's not that hard.
But it came away with a
Undefeated.
bunch
Krish
of...
went undefeated all weekend.
Yeah, true. I came away
That's
with a bunch
the only time it's going to happen this month. To be fair,
Whoa! Oh, okay, Mister. I'm gonna win my first PQ. Let's see how that goes.
ironically.
I didn't
But yeah, no.
I swear.
So yeah, it was a really great weekend. So thanks to all the players that came down. We like we've said, we had a really good time.
It's great, man.
Thanks
I was
UKTC
running
for the tournament as well.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. I was running the tournament with.
Shot, bro.
We had
Great organization.
we had two great judges as well, backing me up, Sav and Rob. So massive thanks to you guys. Best in the business. And yeah, no, just thanks to all the players. Really, a lot of elite play. It's great fun, sort of experimenting and doing the stream ourselves for the first time as well. A bit different, but I think it went well. I think you guys had a good time running it, except for when I was tearing my hair out next to you guys.
Which was concerningly often, but
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, it was nothing to do with the tournament. It was all to do with the stream. But you know, these things happen.
Issues.
So yeah, I mean, we did a giveaway, Emmy, right? We need to remind some people to get in touch. Is that
Absolutely.
right?
So we got in touch with like one person got in touch. I'm gonna
one?
read the winners again. By the way, the giveaway was for this amazing metal experience token. So cool. So if
fancy.
you are Scott Ledosh, Jonathan Fisher, Mia on Movies, MS Zatanic, these are the winners. I'm gonna put them on screen. If you want, reach out via email, and I'll put the email on screen as well. And we're gonna get you the experience token that have led our Ollie to a on-stream victory. Actually, the last one.
Huge congratulations to all the winners.
Guys, I really
Yeah,
congrats.
like Ollie getting an on-screen victory is crazy. Like that's so rare. Like I'm
It was actually really good as
I
well.
was so proud of him. Like he tried so hard to get that victory.
He did it. He got 2 in the weekend because he beat Emmy pretty flawlessly on day 2 as well.
Oh my God,
I got
it's
battered.
amazing.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
really
congrats
just
to
smell the
all the
jealousy from
winners.
this guy over here.
Yeah, thanks everyone who watched and stuff.
Yes.
The numbers were great. We had no expectations really, and you guys absolutely smashed it for us. So really appreciate all that.
Well over 100 views, like pretty consistently. Really, really.
We
Yeah,
picked at 180. I think
Yeah,
I got
so
like,
sick.
this,
And we
yeah.
got over 100 subs over the weekend too, right?
120
Yeah.
subs. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
incredible support from you guys. So thanks for all the effort, and yeah, I mean it's just like an all-round success really. And long may it rain. Let's do some more, hopefully soon.
for sure.
But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. If you did like what you saw at the weekend, because we're on our way to 1,000 now. But yeah, so let's get into the tournament meta review. So the day 1 meta.
Yes, I think.
Take it away, someone.
Sorry, Krish, go ahead.
I'll do it. Yeah. No, just because it's funny. So okay, the day 1 meta. I was quite surprised by this. I don't know. I remember talking to Emmy about this on stream and just genuinely being like quite shocked. So 7 Bobas, so 21% meta share. That sounded about right. But then 4 Han from set 1, so 12%, and 4 Bosk, 12%. And I believe 3 of them were ECL and only 1 was blue, which I found to be quite surprising. Then 3 Kira, 9%. I think 1 ECL, 230. 3 Sabine, much lower than I was expecting. I mean, this is the UK. We love our Sabine here, but apparently only 9% of us decided to play it. 3 set 2 Han, 9% again. 2 Palp, 2 Chirrut, both at 6%. And then 1 Hondo, the goat over here. I actually have no idea which way Ollie is on the actual.
He's underneath you. You should be able to see him, to be fair.
Down here, where he belongs. And then, of course, we had Chewbacca, who actually went 3-3. That's not bad. 1 Vader, who went 3-3. The Gar Saxon, who went 3-6.
It's not bad for a guy to go 3-3 if it's Chewbacca, but it's bad for me, huh?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Just remember that.
Guys, listen. Shout out to Gar Saxon, my 06 king, winner of the wooden spoon. And
Legend.
the Moff Tarkin as well was the last one of the one-offs. So quite a diverse meta, I would say. I mean, you know, what is that? Like a solid 60% or so on meta. But like, obviously that means 40% or so off meta. And to give a plug to Mark over on the Unlimited Power podcast, TCG YouTube channel.
Lovely guy.
He's a fantastic chap, and he does a weekly meta breakdown. And this is basically in line with what we've been seeing over there, like about 2/3 meta and about 1/3 off meta. Kind of highlighting.
Can you remember how many of the Bobas were green? Because
I think
on the second.
I think it was 2 or 3 on day. I think it was 3 on day 1 or 4 on day 1. It was like very close. It was basically half.
The second day it was mainly mono yellow
Yeah.
Bobas in the room. To be fair, it was a very very different field. We will get there in the end.
We will
It was
get there.
Boba red, and there were 4 Boba green and 2 Boba yellows.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah.
This was
I
day
think-
1. Yeah.
It's so weird because I think ever since like okay, so we've seen like Josh and Alex, who spoiler first and second place from this event, who have who won both major UK tournaments as well between them, like are extremely dominant players, but I think are sort of just showcasing their TCG chops more than necessarily like particularly advanced deck building or like, you know, there's nothing like, it's not like they have somehow discovered this broken tier 0 list that hard counters the format, which has happened in the past, right? Like that's not unheard of to like have come up with this list that is uniquely well positioned into a particular format. They haven't done that. They're just really fucking good at TCGs and have
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing players, right?
yeah, and they've used that.
Joshua has a very like vast understanding of the game because of the amount of decks he plays as well. He doesn't just play the one deck, so
Well, that's the thing. You can't. I don't think you can ever be a one trick if you're trying to be really, really good at a particular card game. And so
no, that's true.
it's very cool, I think, to sort of see the how well they've done. But also, I do think that is a like we're seeing the sort of thing where like actually like because they haven't discovered like this particularly broken list, players who are haven't necessarily put the same prep time in or aren't necessarily as skilled are taking the same decks and are not seeing the same results. Because if you look at the Boba Fett win rate, it was 53%, which is fine. Like that's good, but it's not crazy. But if we look through the other decks, right, like Bosk had a 61% win rate, Sabine had a 78% win rate. Make it make sense, right? Like Sabine with a 78% win rate didn't even come in top two. So
Well, no, it did. Kane came second both days.
He was second with the
Yeah,
but that's tiebreaker
Sabine.
because the finals was Boba Green day one.
Getch.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
that's true. Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
fine, but you know what I mean, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
one Sabine made it, but like two Bobas made it. So I don't know. I think the point is right. Like it's interesting because you can see like the sheer strength of player versus like the average result for that deck, which shows that
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about fearing players as opposed to decks at this point.
yeah. Although I mean, I will
which is
say like
fairly relevant.
as someone who has played a lot of card games, I do think like players, man, like just beat them.
So yeah, just why not just beat him?
Win. Just don't get in your own head. They're just people. Just win. Like just beat them in the game.
Before we move on to day two, Ollie, do you want to give us a little review of your day? You tried to play something fairly fruity for the day, but its time isn't now. I guess is the best way to talk about it. What's your view on Hondo and your attempt?
Oh, it was super fun. I think I played all round some pretty strong matchups. Like I played a Boba Yellow, I played Bosk, played Kira ECL. The one thing I did manage to dodge was Sabine, which I was very happy with, because I felt like Sabine was probably one of the tougher matchups for my particular list. I tried to include a lot of anti-aggro stuff, but it's still Sabine at the end of the day.
Sabine is absolutely ridiculous. Like you can only take
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
she's a
And I didn't want to
menace.
hurt my other matchup, so I was kind of like, if I play against a Sabine, I probably lose. I have a decent, like I still have a chance, but I'll just take the one loss into Sabine and play the rest of the matchups okay. My three losses were to Bosk, Boba Green, and Han Yellow. Two of the matchups, like Han Yellow, I was going into it, I was just like, I think I just lose this off the bat. Han Yellow is very good into control decks, and I was shocked at myself that I managed to take a game off him in the first place. Boba Green, we were 1-1. It was I was against Joshua, obviously a very strong player, won Manchester and all that. We've played a couple of times before. We were 1-1, and I don't think I saw a card that was playable apart from Child
Yeah,
until
I literally
6
witnessed
resource.
this. I was walking around viewing the tables, and I saw you reveal
I went Child,
two
so then
Avengers.
Two Avengers,
Super
two
Lasers.
Super Laser Blast was my hand.
Yeah,
and I was, and I'd been
rough.
resourcing like Devastator, other really big stuff. I was like, this is just not it.
Yeah, not what you need against Joshua for sure.
Yeah, the third loss was one I was a little bit upset about. Well, chronologically it was the second loss, but it's the third one I'm addressing, which was against Boss Green, which I feel like is a really good matchup for me. But I think my lack of experience into the matchup really hurt. I think I just played that game. Like, I won game 1, but games 2 and 3, I think I played really badly. And I could have won. But yeah, coming out of the tournament, I felt really happy with my result. Like, the deck felt really strong into Boba. It felt like it just had a decent spread of matchups. I managed to take out Kira as well, which I was pretty happy with because he was definitely a strong player as well. I think he made like top 4 in day 2 or something.
Nice.
And it's kind of like the de facto blue-green villainy deck. So I was like, okay, Hondo's, pulling some work in here.
Well, Hondo's good. Hondo is good.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
not.
that was Lewis
It's not
that
Kira, but it's good.
that was
Yeah.
Lewis that you beat, by the way. Lewis Harvey, shout out as a young man bringing Kira day 1 and day 2. Day 1 didn't go super well. I think ended up 3-3, but day 2 ended up 5-1. So shout out.
Yeah, third place.
I do
Yeah,
think
yeah.
like that is it's the meta has gotten really weird because like at the start it was kind of a Boba and Sabine fiesta, and so it was actually a really really good position for Kira and like consequentially Hondo because it's kind of the same shell,
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 different cards. Like oh look at me,
Or just like a different value engine rather
like
than
slightly different
shields.
value engine, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the same fundamental idea, right? Like it's
Yeah,
blue, black, green control. Fine.
You slam Avengers.
Exactly. Fundamentally, right? Like Sam Avengers and you win. And so, and that was a really, really well positioned time for the deck. But now, like, because the meta has expanded outwards so much, like we've seen Han Yellow come in and just tear control a new one. Like it is, you can't win against that deck. Like it has way too much. Like between like Bodhi and Spark and a new adventure, like you
J
just
as well.
it's just GG, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
what do you? So you lose from that standpoint, and then also you have all these like additional decks that aren't strictly speaking like in the traditional, like they're not the Bobas that you were preying on, they're not like the mid ranges. You have these sort of like other control decks, and like you have the greedy decks like Palpatine, and it's just become really really hard to play any deck into this meta because you can feasibly look at like about a solid third and go, well that looks a bit shit for me. So like I think like 3-3 is like a really respectable record because like you're gonna lose 2 anyway, like realistically, statistically. And then you had one game that was like you being inexperienced, like Sailor V.
This feels really weird for anyone watching. I don't think Chris has ever complimented me. So
Because you don't deserve a compliment. You are fucking shit.
Yeah. Don't start trying to change it around now, Chris.
I'm gonna clip this specific part of the podcast on YouTube and save it
You've
on my
been
phone.
caught
I'm gonna have it as my
red-handed.
screensaver.
I've been waiting for Ollie to win against me in top 8 a single time. Just one game. One game.
I
What
mean,
do you mean
you
in
have
top eight? I've already
you have to
beaten you.
get there again, Chris. You have to get there again.
I
But yeah, Ollie.
I've
So
been to every tournament I've been to.
that's true. But you go to the tournaments where there's only 8 players. So, but anyway. So in conclusion, Ollie, how was your day finally? Did you enjoy it even though your results didn't go the way you wanted?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like in this game, I've really noticed that I come away, like in other card games I play, if I do badly, I get tilted afterwards, and I just go, I'm not playing this game for like 2 weeks. But when it comes to Star Wars, I come away and I go, okay, I didn't do so well. Why is that? Let me switch around some cards. Let me try this out. Oh, that deck that I played against looks real interesting. Let me give that a go as well. Like I came away from the day with 3 new deck ideas as well as how to change my list. And I went back and I was like, I wish I had more cards on me now because I can't deck build with these.
We're all 3 of them pivoting onto Sabine Green.
Yeah, everyone just Sabine Green all the way.
Crazy. As long as you're not going for a cause I believe in, reveal Darksaber. As long as exactly that isn't happening.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that's Kane, bro.
If I played it, that's what would happen for me. But anyway, let's move on to day 2. So day 2 was like we were saying, it was a very different day. As far as I think we had like 5 or 6 players that carried over.
So
we had a
I'll give
few.
the rundown very
actually.
quickly, and then Emmy and Ollie can sort of talk about
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris. Give us that rundown.
more Bobas. 8 Bobas. I think it was the same player count. So 24% on Boba. But interestingly, it only had a 50% win rate. Then we had 4 Sabines as our second most played deck, 12% win rate with a 12% play rate with a 71% win rate. Han Solo set 1, 9% with only a 47% win rate. Then that's Han Solo set 2. Han Solo set 1 was also 9% but with a 61% win rate. Ray and Kylo both on 6%, with a 57 and a 44% win rate respectively. Vader, Moff, Kira, with 6% win rates and all with win
No, not
rates.
6% win rate is a
Yeah,
share.
not great. Then we had a Cad Bane, a Palpatine, a Chirrut, a Bosk, and a Lando Calrissian. Shout out to one, the Lando, my goat, and two, the 100% win rate boss player who dropped last round one. But 100% win rate is pretty good.
Yeah, that was Alex.
Chirrut was awesome. I legitimately saw him put a lightsaber on Grogu, and that made
my goat. Bro,
that made my whole weekend.
When I saw that Grogu drop on stream, and I was like, Tammy, I was like, dude, like this Grogu's gonna lock down the game. This Grogu's unironically gonna lock down this game.
That was so sick.
It was interesting because I think, Joshua, who ended up winning, he on day one he was running Boba Green, and day two came with
Right.
Han Solo, Han one yellow, ended up winning, and he faced 5 aggros, and it was a bit less, right? So on day one there
It was
were
slightly more Sabine, but I think less aggro decks overall.
Yeah, and I
Three
think Sabine
Sabines on
did
day
a bit better on the day two as well.
Dude, I mean, they had a 70+% win rate both days. Like, if you're going on the numbers, like, we should be on Sabine. Like, that is a
I
ridiculous.
mean, yeah, Sabine is
Yeah.
a crazy deck.
It's just
I do think part of that as well is just like, if you have like the tournament as a bell curve, right? Like the bad quote unquote 50% of players are just going to get cooked by Sabine doing its normal thing, because like it's a deck it's kind of like Boba Yellow and Boba Green, where it's like it's sort of like fundamentally a little bit broken when it hits the curve, and you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, what do I really do against this? And especially if you don't know the lines, or if you don't like know what a resource in the matchup, or if you're not like, if you don't know what to play around, like you are just going to get absolutely cooked.
realistically, realistically, you need to know, like, when you decide which deck you're playing, realistically, you need to know which are the 1 or 2 opening hands that you need to have against Sabine.
100%.
And like how to play it. Like let them choose the lane first. And do you have a turn 1 play? Yes or no? How are you gonna deal with on the flip turn, which is very important. Are you able to remove it the same turn? What happens if Dark Saber comes down? Like, there's a lot of factors to keep in mind, and I think some players are just like, okay, well, it's just easier if I play Sabine. If you wanna win, that can be a good shout. But I think what numbers show is that as you win and you go on harder matchups on players that have, obviously had some luck, but also sweated out getting where they are, they don't convert that well, right? Obviously, again, luck is part of it. Shout out to Kane that ended second with Sabine ECL on both days, and we've seen him on stream being extremely unlucky. Nonetheless, I think if you decide to bring Sabine, I don't know. If you want to play Sabine and do like a top 32, top 16, maybe you can copy paste. But I feel like if you want to really push for that win, even though Sabine is so strong, you gotta have that extra edge for the mirror or for the very prepared players, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think like this was because I can't be the only one, surely, who like I saw Sabine in set one, and like I was never like an aggro player. I mean, I say that right, and obviously I played Bobby Yellow and stuff at UK Games Expo. But like I never in previous car games, I've never been the aggro player, and so I saw Sabine and I was like, okay, cool, like turn card sideways, great, and I kind of was just attributing it to being the sort of like brain dead thing. And then set two, I think I sat down and I was like, okay, this is still a powerhouse. It's gotten some very powerful new tools. Let me learn this deck. And fuck me, this is a really hard deck to play. Like, there are so many lines, and you need to like really understand each matchup to like know like on a statistical basis, like, no, I should play red 3 here. Or like, actually, no, I've got to go for Fleet Lieutenant here, right? Like, this is how I maximize my 1, 2, 3 extra damage that actually gets me there because like you're playing on a knife's edge. So like, it's such a hard deck to pilot. And I think, like, obviously, as Emmy was saying, like, on top of that, everyone and their mum is prepared for you. It feels like a deck where, as we approach like sectors and regionals, I'm actually going to be more inclined to take when a top is good enough. Like, I suspect when we get to sectors and regionals, like top 8 or top 16 will like get you some really nice pricing. Whereas with PQs, you kind of just have to win the whole thing. And
Yeah.
Sabine is a fantastic deck to top with. It's really good. But again, exactly as Emmy was saying, like as you get to those top levels, like what's your edge in the mirror? It better not be win the die roll because that's not a great edge. That's called chance. And like it better you better have some sort of plan for every deck in the format because you bet every deck in the format has a plan for you.
All right, so yeah, Sabine getting really great results at the weekend, and yeah, congratulations to our two winners, Josh and Alex, both Premier winners. So they're continuing their streak. People need to start taking them down and getting on their level. That is for sure, us included. But yeah, so again, thank you so much to everyone that tuned into our stream. We had a real great time. We hope to do that again. And yeah, everyone that came to the tournament. UKTC, hopefully we'll do some more events, TBC, and we'll see. Obviously, you'll be the first people to know about it when we do, but we do have Set Free on the horizon, so lots more events to come.
Give it to me now!
But we have events.
Free.
We have our first wave of planetary qualifiers, which is our next topic of conversation for the next 10 minutes or so. So, yeah, so there's 3 in the UK, and we will be between us at every single one of them.
Yes.
First up is Sheffield, which all 4 of us will be attending. I think it's the only one that all 4 of us will be at.
I think so, yeah.
Yes, I think.
So yeah, that's really exciting. So yeah, how are you guys preparing for that? And are you excited?
Hell yeah.
Wishful thinking.
So excited.
This
Well, no,
weekend,
we
we're-
are. So this weekend, I think all of us have said, like, okay, we need to stop fucking about.
schedule's clear.
We are going
24 hours.
grind
24
it
hours.
48
Yeah.
hours. Like, I don't know about the rest of these bums, but like Ollie and I are like locked in. Like, we are unironically going to grind like at least 30 hours of gameplay.
Yeah,
Like,
I have literally 2 tournaments to play, plus I'm going to be playing
bum!
at home if I can as well on top of that. So
Get online. We need to grind these games, my son.
Yeah. There's nothing like really like literally locking yourself in a room and testing. Because let's be honest, I think we spoke about it on no, maybe not, but fundamentally, I think we can look at statistics and the win rate and anything, but like it doesn't translate in anything for you as a viewer, as a player, if you don't play these decks. And in this game, you cannot wing a deck. You cannot. You cannot just watch it and then just play, because you've seen it on stream, you've seen it like probably in games you played. There are lines and there are lines, and you need to learn it. And yeah, forget the statistic, the tier list. There's so many tier lists outside, but like those tier lists are made of people that put the time to play a good deck well, right? So not saying that those tier lists don't matter, but what matters is really like the time that you're gonna spend grinding. And we are seeing like any type of deck doing pretty well, right? In this past weekend, there's a few that ended up 4-2. 4-2 is a really good record, and are not your usual suspect decks as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
when you are grinding, Emmy, what is it that you're kind of considering with the preparation?
I'm considering first and foremost like what I'm playing, and kind of look at really the I guess the chances of like what's the split of my matchups. So if we're gonna run 7 rounds, I'm expecting at least like three aggro, 2 or 3 aggro, a couple of mid range, a couple of control. So I do those calculation in terms of like what my matchups will be like, and then understand where are my bad matchup and good matchup, and I just tend to really grind out the unfavorable one and try to really get close to a good side and the optimal lines that I need to learn. I think I just like lean to grind for me is like, how do I bridge the gap that I know I have right now? So I really
Of
focus
course.
on how do I try to get better on things that I know I suck at this moment with the
What
deck.
about you, Ollie? When you're preparing, what's your sort of mindset to playing lots of games back to back?
So, my main issue when it comes to preparing for a big tournament tends to be deck choice, because as a player, I really enjoy playing like as many decks as I can, and that leads me
You give
to
me like such a hard time when when we went last time for a tournament and I was choosing my deck. No, actually one card the day before. You were so annoyed, and now you're telling me that you're the same.
yeah, that's why I can be so hard on you for it. Yeah, as a player, I like to play a lot of different decks, and it leads me to always have like 5 decks that I'm really enjoying at any given time. So I'll generally try and narrow it down to like 2 or 3 when I'm going into like the week or 2 weeks before the tournament to try and test for. And for example, like we're doing this Saturday, me and Chris are going to be grinding together, you could say.
Damn straight
Um,
we are.
and
Film it for the YouTube channel.
facts, that's for the Patreon guys, subscribe.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and my main objective on the Saturday, I've got 3 decks in mind that I've decided on that are going to be like my 3 decks to try out. My main objective is on the Saturday, I'm going to decide what deck I want to play. And I'll probably do that by testing against like the 3 or 4 top decks. So in my mind, and that's not necessarily the 3 or 4 top decks, but the 3 or 4 like top play styles. So Sabine green for aggro, Boba yellow for tempo, maybe some Boba green for mid range, and then Kira ECL for control, or Kira green, sorry, for control. And then maybe like Han blue on a tertiary level, just because it's a very popular deck. But it kind of falls in the same line as some of those other decks.
To be fair, that does seem to be dropping off a bit.
Yeah, yeah, it does
It
definitely,
doesn't
especially in
seem to
terms
be
of
getting the
results.
results. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But
and then
people maybe just have its number now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then once I've decided what deck I want to play on the Sunday, I plan to grind out like specific matchups for that deck. Hopefully on the Saturday I have an idea of what the bad and good matchups are, so I can really just focus on the bad matchups and then figure out like main and sideboard techs for those matchups that won't really hurt my other matchups. But yeah, that's kind of my line of thinking when it comes to it. A lot of it, I'm a real perfectionist when it comes to deck choice and card games and deck building in general. And it can be a big detriment, I think, sometimes, because in this game with how many leaders do well, there's always going to be a bad matchup. You can't like go into a
You
I
got
mean,
tournament knowing it could be every
it's
deck.
better to be prepared than not. Let's be honest. So, like, the more
Yeah, of
preparation you
course.
put in, regardless, is always gonna put you in better stead. What about you, Chris? Finally, like when you're getting ready for tournaments, what's your sort of mindset to using the time that you have to practice?
I'm always so torn because I think I want to be an Ollie. I want to try out as many decks as possible because I think like learning a deck on a simple level is the most effective way to learn how to combat it because like you there's there's this concept of like marginal gains and so if you play like 100 games on a deck, how much more are you learning versus just playing 10 games on the deck? And actually if you play 10 games you can kind of get a really good feel for where the choke points are, what the really important lines are, and giving yourself some credit as an above average player, you can go, okay, if I understand like this deck on an average level, then that's what I'm mostly going to go up against, and then I can dedicate my time to getting really good at the deck I want to play, and hopefully learn those lines that advantage me into the field. And so, like, generally, what I try to do is try and at least play a few games on each deck, or if I can't play, at least like watch gameplay and try to understand like how those decks play. So that's my first point, right? Like, try and like I think like there's sort of there's three areas where you can like try and find an edge to win a tournament, right? So the first is your deck building, the second is your meta call, and the third is your play. And focusing on the play, right? Like understanding how the other decks kind of function in the format. That's what I try and do first. And the second thing I try and do is just I used to have this real problem where I would pivot last minute for a tournament, and I would kind of like just do fine, like I'd top and then like fizzle out a bit. And so like I had this period where like I would keep making top, I'd keep making finals. I would just lose the finals like again and again and again. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm done. I'm learning this deck. So now what I do is I'm lock in my deck. I'm like, so I can tell you now, happily, I am going to be on Boba Green for every single PQ. I'm going to all three. Going to be on Boba Green. I'm not playing anything else because I'm like, okay, this deck is good. This deck has game, and I'm going to learn the shit out of it. And I'm going to refine my deck list as much as I possibly can. And I think that's basically like where I've landed nowadays. I'm like, especially in SWU, like you can skill gap people and you can, learn your lines as much as you want. At the end of the day, you can only test into like 2/3 of what you're realistically going to play against.
I think
So,
an advantage.
yeah, good at your deck.
Yeah, an advantage on that, Krish, is you can spend more time learning other decks lines. Because I think one thing you've probably seen if you've watched the stream, by the way, the streams are on the channel, so go check out.
Yeah, go check the VODs out.
Really good time. But like the amount of time you see people reading cards, right? And if you lock in a decision and you stick with that, and it's a sound one, like the one you've made, Krish, you can spend more time reading other people's card before before the tournament itself, and knowing like, oh, this is what they're gonna try to do. Oh, this is what they want to achieve against me. Like, how do I counter that? So I think that's another indirect advantage of that.
Definitely. And there's two other things I want to quickly touch on. The first is I never want to sit down against someone and like be taking like a full 10, 20, 30 seconds like every turn to like figure out what I'm doing. Like the goal should be I have a game plan into aggro, I have a game plan into mid-range, I have a game plan into control, and yeah, occasionally I'm going to need to pick up your cards and read them. But like the goal should be I understand what your deck does on a conceptual level, and I have a line prepped for that. Because like if I'm spending time every single round trying to figure out what I'm doing, that decision fatigue is going to mean by the time I'm in Top Cut, I am knackered and I'm not going to be performing well. Whereas, like, the goal is to go into Top Cut, especially in these PQs where it's a 1 day, like, go into Top Cut as fresh as possible, right? Like, basically having, like, if possible, like, having played as few games as possible, right? Like, trying to 2-0 everyone. Obviously, extremely optimistic, but, like, and short games. Like, that's the goal. Which is why I kind of think aggro and mid-range is sort of advantaged into, like, this kind of format. And there's some meta-analysis we can do there. But that's the first thing. And then the second thing I want to say is that knowing what your opponents do is like such an advantage. I actually can't emphasize this enough. Like I think the biggest skill differentiator in TCGs in general, and massively so in a game where it goes I do thing, you do thing, is just knowing what your opponent's going to do. Like, okay, sorry to bully Kane, but to bring up this example from day one on the stream where I called Kane Santa Claus was because he's playing Sabine and his opponent top targets something and he ECLs a Poe in and he doesn't get rid of the top target. And I'm like, did you not?
He did learn though. He did it on day 2.
He learned, right? Like he learned, and like good. And this is the beautiful thing about a best of 3 game. You can make these mistakes game 1. It's fine. You can come back from it, and you can understand that line, and you can massively increase your edge in the matchup. So like, this is not me like throwing shade at him as a player, but it's just highlighting that we all do this, where we do something unoptimal because we are not experienced in the matchup. And like that's fine, that happens. Learning from it, being aware of it is like important. But also like if you can put yourself into a position where you're not going to do that thing, that's pretty good. So like, as all the guys were saying here, right? Like knowing your matchups into the Sabines, the Bobas, the Hans, the Kiras, just learn those because you are going to play against them. Yeah, you don't test into IG88. You're probably not going to play against IG88, but conceptually understanding how to play against a deck like IG88 is what you want to do.
What about
All
you?
right, so I'm going to be judging at Edinburgh, so I've got different preparations to
He's
do.
got
I'm
a
pleased to
manual
say
to read.
I'm pleased to say I'll be head judging actually, so that's going to be a really fun experience.
Amazing.
But no, I mean, when I'm practicing, honestly, I just try and I play one deck a lot of the time. Sometimes I'll deviate to other decks I've practiced with. Generally, I'll play other decks mainly to get an understanding of how they, what their weaknesses are. I find playing decks I'm weak against is good education for me. So I'll take it to a locals for 1 week, or take it to like a lesser tournament, like Store Showdown or something, just to get a bit of experience. Normally, probably do quite badly, but at that point, I can kind of figure it out for myself. I mean, that's kind of how I learned to play against Sabine and Bobby Yellow, both really difficult decks to navigate when you're first kind of learning. So I'd recommend trying that. If you can't beat them, join them, and then go back to what you actually love. But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend. I'm going to be playing something I enjoy most, Han Yellow most likely, and I recommend trying not to stress too much at this point in the game's life, and just play what you enjoy, try and get good experience as we move into next year, where we're going to have the big regionals and stuff, the exciting stuff. So yeah, just keep the focus on enjoying yourself, and I'm sure the victories will come. But yeah, so
Unless you're
I guess or me. But let's get to closing now. So thank you again for everyone that's been checking out our content lately. We've had a lot of new subscribers and stuff. With season 2 starting of the podcast, we're also going to be trying to get as much content out as possible. We have a lot of new stuff coming.
Yes.
I have some videos that I'm organising to do in probably the next week or so related to UKTC's events. So we'll have some deck profiles and stuff like that. Emmy, I think you've got some stuff coming in.
Yeah, working with Krish on a video and with Trevi CCG. Shout out to Trevi. I think we're recording this weekend. One thing I wanted to mention, since you said, Josh, you're head judging in Edinburgh, one thing I would say is, because I think you have the most experience in judging in TCG amongst like all the people I know.
I can back that, yeah.
To the viewers, like if you're watching this, you want to become a SWU judge, let us know. Maybe we can make some judge content, Josh, and you can mentor some.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I think I don't want to blow my horn too much. As far as like knowing the fundamentals and rules of the game, that's obviously 101 with these things. But to be a good judge, I feel like you need to have a different kind of skill set, sort of unique skills with like events management and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can deep dive into that at some point, and I can talk about my history a bit.
It's definitely going to be on the thumbnail, as in like head judging a PQ. We're going to have to do it.
I want to.
One thing I'm a bit salty about is that they've got some nice like judge shirts with the Star Wars logo on and everything, but they're not shipping them to Europe.
That is a scam.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested to do some like judging stuff sometime.
Can I quickly shout out the official judge program? If you guys like, the Discord is free to join because they are doing like weekly, basically like teaching sessions where like they haven't yet hit the point where it's like judge only stuff. It's literally, here is how the rules work. in great detail. And if you want to win tournaments, knowing the rules really well is a good way to do that. So like,
It's
thoroughly recommend-
essentially what it is Cascade Games. Jonah is his name. He's basically going through the curriculum to level up. Currently, they're on level 1 judges. But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely recommend it. I've been going through it myself. You don't have to watch the videos. There are videos on Twitch, but they're not saving the VODs, unfortunately. So it's kind of a bit like if you haven't caught it from the start, it's a bit annoying. However, you can read all of the lesson plans on the Discord. So I'd highly recommend getting on there, and that's pretty much how I've managed to get this judge spot. But yeah, really looking forward to doing a great tournament at Moxon Hole. I love it in Edinburgh as well. Family live close by, so it's going to be a really nice weekend for me. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Does anyone have a final thoughts for the day before we jump off here?
Yeah. Someone, please go to FFGHQ and make sure for set 3 that promo is an Obi-Wan or a Jar Jar or
Jar Jar, it has to be.
Obi-Wan, Jar Jar, or of course the GOAT, Dex. Either three of these 3 options are acceptable to me.
I'd say Jar Jar because I'm biased with double yellow cards, or a Palpatine. That Palpatine card's broken.
Or a Mace Windu, or a Kit Fisto, or a
Grievous.
Or a Grievous. Oh my God, give me. Do you guys know I like the prequels? I don't know if you guys. Come here, come closer. I don't know if you guys knew that.
This is great because I know about 2 of the characters he listed.
It's getting a bit creepy now. I'm sure the promo won't be that one cost thing that gives you a battle droid when it dies. I'm sure it won't be that.
It might
Anyway, thanks guys. We will have new content soon, and yeah, we really appreciate you all. And we'll see you soon.
Love you. Bye.